Ambassador Kethra looked at her data screen for the third time that morning. The numbers did not make sense. She was studying old trade records, but something was very wrong with the information about Earth's destruction 200 years ago. She worked alone in her small office on the space station. As an Altarian diplomat, she had green skin and 4 arms, which helped her work with multiple screens at once. Her job was to study galactic history, but today she found something that made her worried. "Computer, show me the energy readings from the Earth battle," she said in her soft voice. The hologram appeared in front of her. It showed the same story everyone knew: Earth burning, human ships destroyed, the end of a dangerous species that threatened peace in the galaxy. But Kethra had studied many real battles, and this looked different. Real battles were messy. Ships crashed in random directions, explosions happened at different times, but the Earth destruction looked too perfect, like someone had planned exactly how it should look. She opened another file. This one showed communications during the battle, but there were strange messages going to empty parts of space, places where nothing should exist. Why would anyone send messages to empty space? Her second pair of arms moved across another keyboard. She found supply records that made her even more confused. The Council was still sending food and materials to areas that were supposed to be destroyed. The records said these places were cleaned zones with no life, but they were still getting supplies every month. Kethra's heart started beating faster. She had 2 hearts, like all Altarians, and both were now racing. She opened her most secret files and found something called Project Silence. The name made her skin turn a darker shade of green. The file was mostly locked, but she could see small pieces, words like relocation, cover story, and permanent solution. None of this matched the official story about Earth. A soft sound came from her door. Someone was coming. Kethra quickly closed all her screens and pretended to work on normal trade reports. "Come in," she called. Vextar entered her office. He was a snake-like alien who worked for the High Council. His long body moved in curves as he slithered toward her desk. His eyes were small and black, and they always made Kethra uncomfortable. "Ambassador," he said in his hissing voice, "the High Council wants to see you. They have questions about your recent research." Kethra tried to look calm, but her hands shook slightly. "What kind of questions?" "They noticed you have been looking at very old files. Files about the human problem from long ago. They wonder why you care about such old history." "I am just doing my job," she replied. "I study trade routes and historical patterns." Vextar's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Some aliens could smell fear, and Kethra hoped he was not one of them. "The Council will see you in 1 hour," he said. Then he left without another word. As soon as he was gone, Kethra worked quickly. She copied all her research onto a small device and hid it in her clothes. If she was right about what she found, it was the biggest lie in galactic history, and that made her very dangerous to powerful people. She walked through the station's long hallways toward the council chambers. Other aliens moved past her. Tall, blue beings from the ice worlds, floating jellyfish-like creatures from the gas planets, and many others. All of them believed the same story about Earth and humans. The council chamber was huge and old. The walls were covered with carvings showing the history of different alien species. Kethra noticed that nowhere in all these carvings was there any mention of humans or their achievements. It was like they had been erased completely. "Ambassador Kethra," came a deep voice from the center of the room. High Counselor Yothan sat on a floating throne. He was tall and gray with no hair and large dark eyes. He had ruled the council for over a century, and his voice could make even brave aliens feel small. "Your recent research has caught our attention," he continued. "We understand you are looking into old battle records and trade information." "Yes, High Counselor. I am studying efficiency in trade routes." "Trade routes." He said the words slowly, like he did not believe her. "And this requires you to examine classified battle records from the human war?" Kethra felt sweat on her forehead. "I found some irregularities in the data. I was just trying to understand them." "Understanding is good," Yothan said. "But some knowledge is kept secret for good reasons. The human war was a difficult time. The records may seem confusing because war is confusing. We suggest you focus your studies on more recent matters. Of course, High Counselor. Good, you may go. As Kethra left the chamber, she knew they were watching her now. But she also knew she was right. The official story about Earth was false. Somewhere out there the truth was hidden and she was going to find it. That night, alone in her quarters, she looked at the stars through her window. In one direction was the area where Earth used to be. According to all records, it was empty. Space now. But maybe, just maybe, something was still there. Kethra sat in her small ship, staring at the empty space in front of her. According to her navigation system, she was at the exact location where Earth used to be. But all she could see were distant stars. Her ship's sensors told a different story. They showed massive objects that her eyes could not see. Energy readings suggested planets, space stations, and ships moving around, lots of them. But when she looked out her window, there was nothing. This is impossible, she whispered to herself. She had stolen this small scout ship 3 days ago and traveled in secret to these coordinates. The council thought she was visiting her home planet, but instead she had come to find the truth about Earth. Her communication system suddenly made a loud noise. Static filled her ship, then cleared to show a face on her screen. Kethra gasped. It was a human face. The human looked young with black hair and brown eyes. He wore some kind of uniform she did not recognize. Behind him, she could see what looked like a control room with flashing lights and other humans working. Unknown ship, the human said in clear galactic standard language. You are in restricted space. Tell us who you are and why you are here. Kethra's 2 hearts were beating so fast she could barely speak. A human, a living human. After 200 years when everyone believed they were all dead. I am Ambassador Kethra from Altair Prime, she managed to say. I am looking for the truth about what happened to Earth. The human stared at her for a long moment. His eyes were serious and careful. Wait here. Do not move your ship or we will destroy it. Someone will come to get you. The screen went black. Kethra sat in shock. Humans were alive. They were here. But where was here? A few minutes later, 3 ships appeared around her. They seemed to come from nowhere, like they had been invisible and suddenly became visible. The ships were beautiful and smooth, with technology that looked far more advanced than anything the Council had. Follow us, came a voice from one of the ships. Stay exactly on the path we show you. They guided her forward toward what still looked like empty space. But as they got closer, the space in front of them began to shimmer like water. Then suddenly, like a curtain being pulled away, she could see everything. Earth. Blue and green and beautiful, just like in the old pictures. But it was not alone. Huge space stations floated around it. Ships moved in perfect patterns between the planet and the stations. Cities of light covered the planet's surface, connected by thin lines that reached up into space. Welcome to Earth, said the voice from the escort ship, the Earth that never died. They brought her to one of the orbital stations. As her ship docked, Kethra could barely believe what she was seeing. The station was enormous, bigger than any structure the Council had ever built. Through the windows she saw Earth below, more beautiful and alive than any world she had ever seen. A human was waiting for her when she left her ship. He was tall with short black hair and wore a simple blue uniform. His face was kind but alert. "I'm Captain Park Minho," he said, offering his hand in the human greeting style. "I coordinate Earth's defense systems. You are the first outsider to find us in 50 years. "Find you?" Kethra repeated. "But the whole galaxy thinks you are dead." "That was the plan," Minho said with a small smile. "Come, there is much to show you." He led her through corridors filled with technology that seemed almost magical. The walls glowed softly with their own light. People moved without making sound on floors that seemed to absorb every footstep. Humans worked alongside other aliens, some that Kethra recognized and some she did not. "How is this possible?" she asked as they walked. "We had help," Minho replied. "More help than the Council ever knew about. It turns out humans were not the only ones who thought the galaxy could be better than what the council offered. They reached a huge viewing window that looked out at Earth. The planet was covered with cities, but they were green cities, full of plants and clean air. Ships moved between the planet and space in smooth streams, like schools of fish in an ocean. The council said you were destroyed in a great battle, Kethra said. There was a battle, Minho confirmed. But it was theater. A show put on to make everyone believe we were gone. Our Zephyrian friends helped us fake our own death while we escaped to safety. The Zephyrians? But they were your enemies. No, Minho said quietly. That was also part of the show. The Zephyrians were actually our allies. They helped us disappear while making it look like they had destroyed us. They entered a control room where dozens of humans and aliens worked together at stations covered with screens and controls. The technology was clearly decades ahead of anything Kethra had seen in council space. Welcome to the real Earth, Minho said. We never fell. We just learned to hide while we grew stronger and waited for the right time to help the galaxy. Kethra looked around at the bustling control room, then back at the beautiful planet below. You have been here all this time? We have been here, Minho confirmed, watching, learning, and when the galaxy needs us most, we will be ready. Admiral Kim Jisoo stood in front of a wall of glowing screens, each one showing different parts of the galaxy. Her gray hair was pulled back in a neat style, and her uniform was simple but clean. She had been doing this job for 30 years, and today was like every other day, full of secrets and careful planning. The fighting near Rigel is getting worse, said Commander Lee Hanul from his station across the room. He was younger than the Admiral, with short black hair and quick fingers that moved across his control panel. Council ships are losing badly. They need help. Send the cargo ship in Sector 4, Admiral Jisoo replied calmly. Make sure it has engine problems at exactly the right time and place. Kethra watched from a corner of the room, still amazed by what she was seeing. The humans had built a secret network that reached across the entire galaxy. They had people in ships everywhere, but nobody knew they were there. Cargo ship? She asked. Commander Lee smiled. Not really a cargo ship. It is full of weapons and supplies. When it has fake engine problems, it will drop everything the Council forces need to win their battle. They will think it was an accident. You do this often? Every day, said Admiral Jisoo. For 200 years we have been helping keep peace in the galaxy. Wars that should have lasted years end in months. Planets that should have starved get food. People who should have died get medicine. And nobody knows we are helping them. Doctor. Choi Suman joined them at the viewing area. She was a small woman with kind eyes who studied alien behavior and psychology. The Council thinks they keep peace through fear and control, she explained to Kethra. But real peace comes from people having what they need to live good lives. So you give them what they need? We help them help themselves, Dr. Suman corrected. We do not want to control anyone. We just want everyone to have a chance to be happy. Admiral Jisoo led them to a secure room where the walls were covered with information about every planet in the galaxy. Pictures of leaders, maps of trade, routes and reports about local problems filled every surface. This is our intelligence center, the Admiral explained. We know more about what is happening in the galaxy than the Council does. We have to, because we are the ones who actually fix the problems. Kethra looked at a section about her own planet, Altair Prime. The information was incredibly detailed: population numbers, economic data, even personal information about government leaders. How do you know all this? We have friends everywhere, said Captain Park Minho, entering the room. Remember, the galaxy thought we were dead. So when humans started showing up as refugees or traders or workers, nobody paid attention to us. We were just survivors trying to rebuild our lives. But you were spies. We were helpers, he corrected. Every human you see working on Council worlds is there to help make life better for everyone. We stop fights before they start. We make sure food gets to hungry people. We share new technology that makes life easier. Dr. Suman activated a large display showing the galaxy's current political situation. Red areas showed conflicts, yellow showed economic problems, and green showed stable regions. Look at this pattern, she said, pointing to the display. 50 years ago, most of the galaxy was red or yellow. Now most of it is green. That is not an accident. The Council thinks they did this, Admiral Jisoo added. They believe their strong leadership created all this peace and prosperity. But really, it was us working quietly behind the scenes. Kethra studied the display more carefully. These green areas, they all have human refugees living there. Not refugees, Commander Lee said. Partners. People who came to help and ended up staying because they liked the communities they helped build. Show her the medical program, suggested Dr. Suman. The display changed to show health statistics across the galaxy. Death rates from disease had dropped dramatically over the past century, especially on poorer worlds that the Council usually ignored. We developed new medicines and treatments, Dr. Suman explained. But we could not just give them to people directly, so we trained local doctors and scientists, gave them hints about research directions, and let them discover the treatments themselves. They think they invented the cures? They did invent them, Admiral Jisoo said firmly. We just helped them get started. The best way to help people is to help them help themselves. That way they feel proud of what they accomplished. Captain. Minho brought up another display showing economic data. Trade wars that should have destroyed entire systems got resolved through mysterious coincidences. Pirates who should have raided shipping lanes got caught because someone anonymously reported their locations. Corrupt officials who should have stolen public money got exposed by leaked documents. All of this was you? All of this was us working with local people who wanted to make things better, Admiral Jisoo corrected. We do not force anyone to do anything. We just make sure good people have the tools and information they need to succeed. Kethra looked around the room at all the screens and data. The Council has no idea. The Council sees what they want to see, Dr. Suman said sadly. They think fear and control are the only ways to keep order. They cannot imagine that people might work together just because it is the right thing to do. But that is exactly what we do, Admiral Jisoo concluded. We work together because we believe the galaxy can be better. And every day, we prove that we are right. High Counselor Yothan walked down the dark stairs beneath the Council building. He had not been to the secret room in 20 years, but today he needed to remember exactly what had happened 2 centuries ago. His long gray fingers touched the wall scanner, and the heavy door opened with a soft hiss. The room was small and cold, filled with old recording equipment that nobody used anymore. But these machines held the most dangerous secrets in galactic history. Secrets that could destroy the Council if anyone ever learned the truth. Kethra followed silently behind him, invisible in the shadows. The human agents had given her special equipment that let her move without being seen or heard. Commander Yang Mira was with her, a young human woman with short black hair who was expert at sneaking into places where she did not belong. Yothan activated the old hologram system. The air shimmered, and suddenly, the room was filled with images from the past. Council members who had been dead for decades appeared as if they were still alive, sitting around a meeting table. The human question has been decided, said the younger version of Yothan. Project Silence is now active. As far as the galaxy knows, Earth and all human colonies have been completely destroyed. Kethra had to cover her mouth to keep from making noise. She was watching the real story of what happened to Earth, and it was not what anyone believed. What about the actual humans? Asked Council Member Zaltek, a blue-skinned alien with worried eyes. The evacuation ships? The civilian populations? They escaped as planned, replied another council member. Our Zephyrian friends made sure the attack looked real while allowing most humans to reach the safe coordinates we prepared for them. The recording continued, and Kethra learned the horrible truth. The war between humans and Zephyrians had been completely fake. It was all theater, designed to give the Council an excuse to make humans disappear. Show them the projection model, ordered the younger Yothan. A new hologram appeared, showing the galaxy 50 years in the future. In every scenario where humans continued to exist and work with other species, the Council's power disappeared. Not because of war or violence, but because other species chose human-style cooperation over council control. "Look at these numbers," said Council Member Brixtar, pointing at the display with one of his forearms. "Every species that works closely with humans becomes more independent. They start questioning our authority. They want to make their own decisions instead of following our guidance." "It is worse than that," added Council Member Drexana. "They become more successful, happier, more prosperous. Other species see this and want the same thing for themselves." The most shocking revelation came next. The hologram showed secret council files proving that human inventions had been stolen and used throughout council space for 2 centuries. Faster communication systems, better medical treatments, cleaner energy sources. All of these came from human scientists, but the council claimed they had invented them. "We built our power on their ideas," whispered Commander Yang Mira, speaking so quietly that only Kethra could hear her. The recording continued with a private conversation between the most powerful council leaders. What they said next made Kethra feel sick. "We cannot let other species see what humans can accomplish," said the younger Yothan. "Our entire system depends on species believing they need council guidance to survive. If they see how much better life can be through simple cooperation, they will realize they do not need us at all," finished Council Member Drexana. "Exactly. And then our authority disappears. Our comfortable lives disappear. Our power disappears." Council Member Zalthek looked uncomfortable. "But is this right? These humans have not attacked us. They have not threatened us. They have only tried to help other species." "That is the threat," Yothan replied firmly. "They help other species become independent. They share their knowledge freely. They treat other aliens as equals instead of subjects. This is more dangerous to us than any army. So what do? We make them disappear. Permanently. And we make sure the galaxy believes they were dangerous aggressors who had to be stopped for everyone's safety." The recording showed the final planning session, where council leaders worked out every detail of the fake war. They chose the Zephyrians as partners because Zephyrian leaders were tired of council control and wanted to help humans escape. They planned exactly how the battles would look to make the destruction seem real. "The other species will be sad about the humans," said Council Member Brixtar. "But they will also be afraid. If we could destroy the humans for being too independent, we could destroy anyone." "Perfect," replied Yothan. "Fear keeps order better than friendship ever could." As the recordings ended, Kethra understood everything. The council had not feared human weapons or human armies. They had feared human kindness. They had feared the way humans made other species feel, valued, respected, capable of governing themselves. The current High Counselor Yothan finished, reviewing the files and left the secret room. He still believed the decision had been correct. Even now, 2 centuries later, he thought the galaxy was better off believing humans were extinct. But Kethra knew the truth now. The Council's entire power structure was built on lies and stolen ideas. And somewhere out there, the real humans were still working to make the galaxy better, just as they always had. The question now was what to do with this terrible knowledge. The attack came from the dark space between galaxies where no one expected danger. Huge alien ships appeared without warning, larger than anything anyone had ever seen. Their weapons were strange and powerful, and they destroyed 3 entire star systems in just 2 days. Admiral Kim Ji-soo stood in Earth's command center, watching the reports come in from across the galaxy. The Council's military forces were running away as fast as they could. Their best weapons barely scratched the enemy ships. "Council forces are asking for help from everyone," reported Captain Park Minho. "They are sending emergency messages to every world, begging for ships and weapons." "What are the member worlds saying?" asked Dr. Choi Suman. Mixed responses. The ED. Outer worlds are too busy running away to help. The inner worlds are sending what they can, but it will not be enough. These invaders have technology that makes Council forces look like children with toy weapons. Admiral Jisoo nodded slowly. She had been preparing for this moment her entire adult life. The time had come for Earth to show itself to save the galaxy that had betrayed them. "Signal all our hidden ships," she commanded. "Operation New Dawn begins now. Kethra, are you ready to tell the galaxy the truth?" The Altarian ambassador sat at the main communication station, her 4 hands moving quickly across the controls. She was about to send a message that would change galactic history forever. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice carrying to every world, every ship, every communication device in Council space. "I speak to you from Earth, the Earth that never died. For 200 years, you have been told that humanity was destroyed for the good of galactic peace. This was a lie." As she spoke, something amazing happened across the galaxy. Huge human ships began appearing above every major world. They had been there all along, hidden by technology no one knew existed. The ships were beautiful and powerful, clearly more advanced than anything the Council had ever built. "We have been here all along," Kethra continued, "watching over you, protecting you, helping you. While the Council built power through fear and control, we built strength through cooperation and friendship. Today, as our galaxy faces a real threat, we show ourselves not as conquerors, but as the protectors we have always been." The human fleet moved with perfect coordination. Ships that were light years apart seemed to work together as if they were right next to each other. Their weapons cut through the invader shields like cutting paper. But the most amazing thing was what happened when the invaders tried to board human ships. Instead of fighting, the humans somehow convinced the enemy soldiers to join them. Commander Lee Hunnell led the first team to capture invader troops. What he found shocked everyone. "Admiral," he reported back to Earth, "these are not evil conquerors. They are refugees. They are running away from their own galactic council, the same kind of controlling government that our council tried to be. When we showed them how we live, how we work together, they immediately wanted to join us." The war that everyone expected to last for years was over in just a few months. The invaders became partners, sharing their knowledge of other galactic communities that faced the same problems. The Council's authority crumbled as species after species chose to join the growing human-led Federation instead. Admiral Jisoo stood on Earth's surface for the first time in decades, addressing representatives from hundreds of worlds. The old Council meeting hall had been replaced by a beautiful outdoor amphitheater where beings of all types could meet comfortably. "Today is not the end of the old galaxy," she said, looking out over the crowd of aliens who had chosen cooperation over control. "It is the beginning of the galaxy we were always meant to have, a galaxy where truth matters more than power, where new ideas help everyone instead of just a few, where the strongest are those who help others become strong too." Some of the old council members still held power on a few worlds that refused to change, but they were surrounded by a growing federation of species that had learned the lesson humanity had been trying to teach for centuries. The universe was big enough for everyone to succeed if they worked together. As the sun set on Earth after the first day of the new galactic government, Kethra stood with Admiral Jisoo watching children play in the gardens below. Human children, yes, but also young Altarians, crystal-like beings from the outer rim, and even some of the former invaders who had become friends. "The Council was right to fear you," Kethra said quietly. "You really were going to change everything." "We did change everything," Admiral Jisoo replied. "We just took the long way to do it." Above them, the stars shone down on a galaxy finally at peace. Not the peace that comes from fear, but the peace that comes from understanding. Earth had never fallen because some truths are too important to die. And sometimes the greatest victory comes not from showing your strength too early, but from waiting until the moment when that strength can save everyone. The galaxy had learned that cooperation was stronger than control, that friendship was more powerful than fear, and that the best way to lead was to help others become leaders themselves.